Back, President Trump launching new attacks against California and its governor this morning, threatening to revoke all federal funding over a transgender athlete making it to track and field state finals. Now, this is the second time President Trump has tried this tactic. You might remember the administration froze federal education dollars for Maine earlier this year over its refusal to comply with Trump's executive order banning transgender athletes, only to later restore those funds. Joining us now is Republican strategist and MSNBC political analyst Susan Del Percio. Also with us, former communications director and spokesman for House Minority Leader Hakeem Jeffries, Michael Hardway. Susan, okay, first Maine, now California. Clearly, this issue having to do with transgender athletes in schools is a fight that the...
First of all, I mean, MSNBC, I know, it's supposed to be a news channel. Right off the top, I mean, you don't have an alternate point of view in the room right now. So, let's see how this goes.
President continues to want to pick. Why?
Because his base loves it and because he gets to change the message. I don't think that Trump really cares so much about the issue as much as it deflects a lot of other things which he'd rather not be talking about. And most currently, I think that's a combination of the UK tariffs, the European Union, boy, that wasn't easy to get out, tariffs, and as well as the Ukraine story that's starting to bubble up and him getting pushed back from Vladimir Putin.
So he wants to switch off the fact that it's hard, that he's trying to make peace and it's not working exactly how he thought right now, and also the tariff situation. Okay, so the EU, they just came out that they're going to try to negotiate, so to give us a little bit more time, and he granted them more time. Not sure if he really needs to pivot off of those things right now. It doesn't seem like that big of a deal. The fact that he is trying to make peace in Ukraine, which is something opposite of what the previous administration was trying to do, I think is a good thing, and the fact that, yes, it is difficult. This war got started not under him, but it did get started. Sometimes it's hard to wind those things down, especially when you're not the party that's, the two parties that are involved. And then again, with it just seems like, those don't seem like issues that he would be running from. So for her to say that he's lobbing this as cover ground or as cannon fodder to try to stir up, stir up the dust in order to hide these other things that are happening that are going wrong for him, that just seems like BS.
How big of a problem is this for Democrats, given we saw what happened with Donald Trump in the election and that big attack ad having to do with transgender that seemed to work for him in 2024? And if you back it up, this has been an issue that's been bubbling for some time. There was a central theme that ultimately Democrats overcame in the Kentucky governor's race having to do with this anti-trans sort of movement. Here's what then candidate and now Kentucky Governor Andy Beshear said when he was dealing with some of those attacks. Watch.
They say that an athlete either has to transition before they reach puberty, where you don't have then that hormonal potential advantage.
First of all, that's so gross. Like, the fact that we're even saying that, to transition before he hits puberty, like, that is just a disgusting statement. I'm sorry. Like, I've raised quite a few kids, and regardless of that, and anyone that has ever encountered a child should know that they're not the best at making lifelong decisions when they're prepubescent, at the very least. Just a disgusting thing just to even think about. So.
Or you have to go through hormonal therapy for enough time to where there is not a competitive advantage. I'm driven by what I believe is right. And here, I'm trying to put what I believe is a calling to always come at things with the greatest of care and compassion for our individuals, especially our youth first.
Michael, that was in 2022. I mean, does that kind of messaging work now for Democrats?
No, this is a red herring. To Susan's point, Donald Trump throws these red meat issues out to his base. But for Democrats, it does us no good to have these conversations. What we should be talking about is what we've done for the American public. Joe Biden created 16 million jobs. That conversation has never happened.
Joe Biden created 16 million jobs. Now, to the average MSNBC viewer that's watching this, they're going to say, wow, that was fantastic. He created 60 million jobs. And to you guys that are watching this, you probably understand where that number comes from. If you shut down an economy and then turn it back on, that's not creating jobs. That's just shutting it off and turning it back on. That's all that is. That's all that is. Right? That essentially, what they're saying is that, oh, Joe Biden's the one that he's he's driving at, if you take a car out and you're driving it at 5 miles an hour, that's really, he's driving it as fast as it's ever gone. When saying that just prior to it, the vehicle was parked. Yeah, a vehicle being parked and going 5 miles an hour, that's the argument that they're making. The vehicle was stopped. The economy was turned off. You turned it back on. That's all you did. You didn't create those jobs. Those jobs were in hibernation, waiting to get, you didn't allow the people to work. It's such a stupid argument.
Democrats created Social Security, the Affordable Care Act, Medicare, Medicaid, all these things, and no one knows because we don't talk about those things. We've even fought to protect unions. We lost the union vote in last year's election, which is insanity given that we are the ones that delivered the PRO Act, which protects unions. We have to talk about those things, not these random social issues that Donald Trump wants us to talk about.
How Democrats are talking and where Democrats are talking seems to matter. That seemed to give the edge to Republicans in the last election cycle. Now we're seeing California's governor trying to enter that male-dominated podcast space that seemed to serve Trump so well. What do you make of Newsom's challenge here, Susan, when it comes to not alienating any parts of the Democratic base, but also appealing to the middle?
I think Newsom is doing it. One, we know he's term limited, so he needs a job. But the second, having Democrats...
Is he doing sign language on his podcast? I've always wondered that. Like, what are his hands doing?
Rally around someone like Governor Newsom, I think is a huge mistake. What has he done as governor? That's what the American people want to see. To Michael's point, he was talking about what Democrats could be talking about. What is Gavin Newsom talking about? He's had a Democratic legislature. The mayors of all the big cities are Democrats. He's been governor for 8 years. Has he delivered on affordable housing? No. Has he made California more affordable? No, he has nothing to offer except a big mouth, frankly. There is a place for Democrats to talk about certain issues. I think Elise Slotkin is one of them, but certainly not Gavin Newsom, because, again, he's all talk and has done absolutely nothing.
I mean, Michael, feel free to defend Gavin Newsom if you want, but I also want to focus more bigger. I also want to, focus.
And, I mean, to his credit, Gavin Newsom is probably one of the best, one of the better communicators in the Democratic Party right now. Say whatever you want. Disagree totally on what he says, because what he says and what he thinks, I guarantee you, are two very different things. He is in a lane where he understands what he has to say and how to say it, and he's a much better communicator than the majority of these. I mean, you take whether it's AOC or Kamala or any of these, Hakeem Jeffries, they're all horrible at communication. Now. Obviously, they got elected, so there is there is something there. However, when you look at a Newsom, he's a formidable opponent, without question. I think you could berate him on his record and how terrible he is in terms of like the policies, but as far as a political, he's very cunning politically speaking. It's just interesting that. The ire that she's throwing at him, or the shade she's throwing at him right now.
Focus bigger picture in terms of Democrats and messaging and who their leader is, who's driving that message right now. I thought it's really interesting in the New York Times, there was this Democratic strategist who said she gets vibe checks from voters by asking what animal they would sort of assign to any member of a party. And here's what she said about Republicans. She got this response from those voters describing Republicans as lions, tigers, and
guys, if you can subscribe to the channel, it really helps out. If you throw me a like, if you like the content, if you want to talk or communicate with me, drop it in the comments. I'll answer them.
Sharks, Democrats described as tortoises, slugs, and sloths. So there was one answer of a deer in headlights. That doesn't sound like something Democrats would want to be described as.
And you know what? All of that is true, which is sad. It makes me sad, because here's the thing. We do the work. But then we go and sort of hope Republicans play by the rules, and they never do. They play to win. So Democrats, if you're a Democrat watching this, play to win.
What does that look like? What does playing to win?
No more whining, first of all. No more sort of complaining about the other side and what they do. You should do whatever it takes to deliver a victory. That is the business we are in. None of this sort of we lost, but we have the moral victory, so it's okay. There's no such thing as a moral victory. You won or you did not.
Susan, another critique that Democrats have is that there are too many
Still didn't answer the question. I don't know what that means.
elite buzzwords. So there was an example of Ruben Gallego, who's, senator from Arizona. He told the Washington Post, they use the term social equity. He said, why do we say that? Why don't we say, we want you to have an even chance? So Trump, is a simple speak. He's known for that. People connect that with authenticity. Are Democrats lacking in that realm?
Absolutely, because Democrats have been talking for the last several years about at a higher level, if you will. They want to talk about everyone and as professors. They talk like they're professors and they're telling everyone what to do instead of relating to people and saying, how can I make you better? How can I make your life better? And finding victories. That's the thing that Democrats, I think, are most lacking, though, right now, is looking to their leaders with actual wins in their columns. Governor Shapiro from Pennsylvania comes to mind. He was able to fix that road collapse, that major road collapse in Pennsylvania in 6 weeks instead of 6 months. That's someone working with Republicans, getting something done. And that is, again, you can use all the $10 words you want, but results are what matters to the public.
I owe you first question next time around. Got to leave it there for right now. Thank you both so much.
Yeah, so I've seen a couple of videos like this where there are strategists out there, that they talk, talking about the California. They didn't even actually get to the issue. I guess Trump is trying to limit funding because California is attempting to allow transgender athletes in sports. I mean, it's a losing issue for Democrats. I don't even feel the need to talk about it because if you think that men and women are equal in the terms of sports, then you're already kind of gone, right? And you really can't get that back. So, but I think overall, I think the majority of people in America believe that there is a difference when it comes to physical, athletic, sports, that men and women are different. So it's like a non-issue. It's a losing issue, I think, for them, because like I said, I don't know if it's an 80-20 issue, but it's got to be, high 60s, low 70s of people that believe that you shouldn't allow a large man to manhandle a female, in any sport, that there's a difference. There's different categories, just like there's different weight categories. And, in men's sports, when it comes to, you don't put a heavyweight up against a featherweight. It's just one of those things. People are different. They're different categories. Men and women are different. They should be in a different category. What I find more interesting in this segment is that they have no solutions. The two there, they're complaining about, that they're complaining about. Well, the one thing that the guy said, and I do have to give him credit for, is all Democrats are saying are Trump is bad and what Republicans are doing is bad. And that's something that they do have to change. However, I mean, his prescription for this, I didn't understand what he was saying. He was saying that they have to talk about the things that they've done. I don't know if they've done. Maybe because I haven't talked about it. I don't know. I'm pretty well versed in a lot of this stuff. I consume a lot of this media, and I don't know anything that they've done in the past 10 years that they can point to and say this has been fantastic and this is what we do and this is our hallmark. This is our the thing that we're the agenda that we're pushing. Yeah, guys, give me a like and subscribe if you can. Be great. If you, like as I said once before, if you talk in the comments, I'll talk back. We can figure it out. And thanks a lot for coming out, guys. We will see you in the next video. Thanks a lot.